Belgian's telegram facility is on to halt. Halt. 171 year following the at first electric communication was transferred downward, a link fleeing near the rail among Brussels and Antwerp. The definitive sending will be shipped and acquired on December 29. The reality how the 19th century technique is yet up and fleeing in the age of Instagram and Snapchat may appear quite odd, particularly while you believe how the UK, that developed the telegram in the 1830s, neglected it as long ago as 1982. The joint state accompanied suitable in 2006, and though India, that had been by far the planet's largest marketplace for the telegram, eventually closed its framework downward in 2013. Fair 10 business community and a fistful of person customers include stored the Belgium framework departure before currently. It has been mainly utilized by bailiffs, who had requirement of a framework that stipulated legislative guarantees of sending and receive. The purchaser can urge up a phone carrier to incantation out his communication, that is later shipped by position. But in a flare telegram standing €21, for a main 20 speech, advantage euro for supply in and about Brussels, it is not hard to see why the framework is fighting to pull through in the age of unrestricted texting on inexpensive portable telephone tariff. Up the innovation of the phone, the telegram was the at first framework how permitted the more than or less instantaneous transfer of electric messages above length distances. The electric impulses of the censor's car, Morse coding became the commonest framework, were transferred in lyrics at the reception late, at first by humane carrier and later ultimately by car. The published lyrics was later brought to the final beneficiary, position offices all above the planet involved armies of telegram boys on bicycles. The technique created a specific styling of written, fair love lyrics exchanging messages. The use of the speech halt for sample, frequently spelled out incomplete, born of the requirement to speak the radio while the end of a verdict had been achieved. And since telegrams were costly, you pay per speech, where was ever blood pressure to go up in phrases how virtually displayed economics of tongue. The framework was expensive and labor-intensive for a begin and began to sense obsolete as more than common families purchased telephones. But though as the telegram dead of, it remained a portion of famous civilization. No marriage stage in a Hollywood cinema was full for many decades out of a stage in that the top man recite out the telegrams, funny or impudent or acute, that guests who couldn't do the facility had shipped of long. In the UK, any loyalist object achieving the age of 100 historically acquired a telegram of the king, a enormous honor for the beneficiary. And in the year while we are celebrating the 100th anniversary date of the gloomy battles of the large war, it is just law to recording how for many decades the view of a telegram boy upcoming up the way in a communication was thing to be dreadful in lot countries. The telegram was the selected technique by that the authorities aware mourning mothers and widows how husbands, sons, or brothers were annihilated, injured or lacking in activity. I've named widows who never forgotten the excruciating moments among the arrive of the supply boy and the at first read of the speech how began, I pity to report thou. So the planet went very changing while Belgium eventually pulls the pin on its telegram framework, but it is else landmark in the length, sluggish die of a technique of communicating how one day modified the planet and that, in its fame days a 100 year back, seemed as although it would never halt. Halt.